She tried to smile. You know what's funny? I used to have to do this at my job, and I always hated it. Yet, I volunteered to do it now. You're going to miss your classmates? Not really. Not to be cold, Maite. I just didn't really get close to anyone in class. Anyway, we all exchanged numbers and emails, so it's no biggie. Esperanza really doubted that any of them would stay in touch, now that they no longer had Ms. Rodriguez's magic to bond them. Maite walked over to Esperanza, removed the pill from her hand, and set it on the floor. And you still have my number and email, right? Too touched to speak, Esperanza threw her arms around Maite and hugged her. Ay, Esperanza. Maite said as she stroked her hair. Claro que sí, que su nombre es Esperanza. Things are cool at my job. I'm full-time now that I'm done with school. Gotta admit that I'm mad nervous about my test. And when are the dates of your exams? Puente asked. He flipped through her file until he found a computer-generated calendar and readied his pen to mark the dates. I have a test every second Saturday, starting with the social studies test on June 11th and ending with the reading exam on October 8th, she answered. Why do they spread them out like that? You'd think they understand that people just want to get them all over with. Dulce had taken hers over 2 consecutive days. You would think. The way Puente looked at her, Esperanza thought that maybe he had actually come to like her. Then he said, when the Board of Education raised the standards, the Bleeding Hearts raised hell until they convinced them to spread out the exams, for the sake of working people and new arrivals and what have you. Look, if my parents can do it, everything's a hustle. Puente circled the dates and scribbled GED by each of them. When's the last time you saw Jesus Lara? Son of a bitch. Long ago, she had stopped worrying that Puente had spied on her from that Navy Crown Victoria. Esperanza figured that if he had seen her with Jesus and wanted to violate her parole, he would have done so by now. Ever since that day at Chucho's, she had managed to stay away from there through sheer will. Now Esperanza had spent the last 15 minutes recounting all the positive turns in her life, and Puente only cared about trying to trick her into admitting she had been socializing with Jesus. You tell me. Don't be a smartass. I haven't seen Jesus Lara. If he rolled up in her restaurant during her shift, Esperanza had no control over that. Not that she had seen him since that day with Priscilla, although he probably saw her all the time like he wrote in that letter. And what about the others? Are you fraternizing with them? She thought of Feli and grew angry. The guy worked at the library, a public place, a positive place. She did not go to hang out with Feli, but she would not stay away just to avoid him either. No, I don't hang out with any of them. I don't look for them. I don't even talk about them. But if I bump into one of them from time to time, what can I do? They live in my neighborhood. Like I said to you before, it's bound to happen. Puente flipped his file closed and glared at her with steel eyes. And like I said to you before, move. On the morning of her first GED exam, Esperanza awoke to the smell of bacon sizzling. She leaped out of the bed and ran into the kitchen. Dulce scraped the bacon from the pan into a plate already filled with scrambled eggs. What are you doing here? Isn't today your first test? Yeah. You shouldn't take a test without having a good breakfast. Then Dulce looked at the plate and started to laugh. Like this is all that different from what you can get at work. It is different, said Esperanza. You made it. She hugged Dulce, then she carried her plate to the table. Dulce poured them each a glass of juice and sat down before her own plate. Do they still score them the same way? When I took it, you could score from a 200 to 800, but you had to get no less than a 4 or 10 on each test. Yup, and your total score for all tests has to be at least 2250 in order to get your diploma. So they didn't change that. Nervous? A little, but it's a social studies test. I think I'm gonna be all right. I know you're gonna be all right. So where's the test? South Bronx. They giggled at the irony of Esperanza returning to the same school she had dropped out of to take her GED exam. Chago lent me his car. You want me to give you a ride? It's good to get there early, you know. Okay. Esperanza had planned to walk. It was sunny and warm, and she thought that exercise might ease her nervousness. But she wanted Dulce to herself for as long as she could have her. Mark is a local elected official in Georgetown.